Good evening. This is Ned Green with CSB 9, and our guest this evening is Sergeant Robert Allen Mansfield. Got a few questions for you, Sarge.
Thanks for having me, Ned. It's an honor to be here. Appreciate
Our
it.
pleasure. The Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell suggested yesterday potential rate cuts are possible, maybe 2 cuts, as long as trade talks are ongoing. How do you think this is going to affect markets here? And will it have effects on trade talks overall?
Well, the markets have already baked this in. We knew 3 months ago that the interest rate normalization program that the Federal Reserve has spelled out in 2017 was going to be data dependent. The trade talks now with China is now data dependent. Therefore, it is the Federal Reserve has done the right thing here by putting the brakes on it. And like I said earlier, the markets have already baked that in.
And responded, I think, rather pleasantly.
I agree.
Yesterday,
Yep.
finally.
Yep.
U.S. senators and the president moved closer to open confrontation last week and now into this week over trade and immigration, two of the most important issues to the president. Several Republican senators have urged the president not to move forward with his tariffs, this plan to impose on Mexico starting Monday. How does this affect the deal overall? The deal with the UMCA? Is it on hold? Is it going forward? Will it be affected? And will it curb its current trade status overall just between U.S. and Mexico?
It will curb the current trade status between the U.S. and Mexico. The current trade deal, based upon the comments that were made by the Mexican president, are on hold until this issue is resolved. The fact that the president has linked immigration policy and trade policy together is now gotten real. And here's why. When most of our cars are manufactured here, but then sent over the Mexican border to be finished, and then they were sent back. That's going to cost a lot for U.S. consumers. So U.S. consumers who are getting products and fruit and vegetables and the like from Mexico into the U.S. are going to face higher prices. So this current trade deal is on hold until both the U.S. and Mexico can work out the southern border issue.
Skipping across the pond, President Trump hinted at a potential $55 billion trade deal to Prime Minister Theresa May on his trip to London this week. This ostensibly could blunt the $50 billion figure by the EU for Britain to exit. Is this a good deal, and is it doable for both the U.S. and Great Britain?
It may be a good deal, but it's not for Theresa May. It's too late for her. Too little, too late. The larger issue here that we're looking at, and I've been looking at this since the vote, the Brexit vote. The EU has been acting like 12-year-old kids in the schoolyard. They will not let Britain go, and they're going to exact a price from Britain. So, with that being said, this may help the next prime minister, but in a macro sense, it's too little, too late at this point.
I was about to say, does this help Boris Johnson?
It could help him coming out of the gate. It gives him some momentum to go to Brussels and say, hey, listen, we have this deal here with the U.S. We need a better deal with you.
Well, we'll just do a little bit of crystal balling for 2020 elections. Overall, what do you see?
Overall, I see, on the presidential level, I see President Trump given the recalcitrance of the Democratic Party. I see President Trump getting, I see this being 1984 times 2, with President Trump winning in a landslide. I also see the Republicans making a few more gains in the Senate, and I believe that we may see a Republican House. It may not be a big majority, but it'll be enough to get legislation passed in the House and then sent on to the Senate.
Well, that's pretty interesting, and thank you very much, Robert. This is Ned Green for CSB 9. Good evening.